This is the True Detective Podcast by BleedTV. I'm Zack.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Cash.
And we are covering Season 3. This is Episode 5, and the title...
If You Have Ghosts.
If You Have Ghosts. I would after this episode.
Yeah, and I mean, this came as a complete surprise. Like, I mean, you text us, yesterday? Like, hey, guys, it's up. You know, we got to go watch it, because I didn't even think about the Super Bowl.
What do you call it? I got some text messages from some friends. I mean, even our good buddy Kelly Choi got on there and was texting us about it like that. And so, yeah, you know, guys, we decided to make the decision of go ahead and watch it and stream it this morning, get out as early as possible because
we know y'all are watching it.
I am effing happy I did, man, because this is by far the best episode of the season, and dare I say, rivals being one of the best episodes of the entire series.
Absolutely,
it's definitely in probably the top 5 best episodes of the whole series. Season 1 has so many.
Yeah, I mean, but I think this is climbing up in the top 3 range, really.
It's very close. I mean, this was... You got to give Pizzalto, which I think he
even directed it.
Is a lot of the credit for the writing and the directing of this episode. It is phenomenal.
And it really made episode 4 a lot better, in my opinion. Because, I mean, we talked about it being a little bit of a filler episode, didn't really give us much. It gave us everything for this episode.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah, it was a perfect setup for this episode.
You know what a lot of people I talked about on social media, and even my wife, when we watched it and so on, she goes, you know what I like about this season and what they're doing versus Season 1? The story and the mystery is easier to follow, even though it's giving you so much that's overload, that it's easier to try to grab breadcrumbs and come up with your own theories versus Season 1, which it was so much more about Russ and Cole and the dynamic, and then you know the story itself wasn't as followable because they went more towards the political power. They went to this way, and then Yellow King wasn't even really established toward the end, and
all the mysticism and oddities.
And she said that, you know, she said it, and like so many people I talked to were like, "This season is just what you're dying for." You have 2 amazing actors, which, by the way,
their chemistry.
I mean, their chemistry is amazing, and to see everything that unfolded on this episode, to say that was truly just an hour. I mean, I felt like I watched 2 hours of content.
Oh, it's a ton.
Yeah, I mean, that didn't feel like 2 hours of content.
Really did.
Like, I mean, I was just like, can I get more? Wait, this is ending?
I mean, the pacing was amazing. The order of progression was amazing. I mean, like I was hanging on every cutscene. Like, it was going to the next one. I was like, oh God, come back, you know, and finish this. Give me more. And you know, when an episode does that right there speaks volumes. And so, you know, people might say what they want to say about Nick, but the bottom line is this episode delivered. The cast delivered. Crew delivered. Kudos to HBO for what we just got.
What's crazy is you leave you wanting more, but they gave you so much in this one episode as far as clues and story movement and all these things. I mean, it's a lot. We're going to do our absolute best not to miss on any of the small details, but it was a ton in this episode. So
there's just
cut us some
overload.
Slack.
Plus, we watched it yesterday. We usually like to do a day of doing it, but I just couldn't wait. You know, we were like, let's get together, man.
I watched it this morning right here before the podcast. I hope I'm very fresh and can remember small details. So.
Right, and so on. So I say we dive into the episode since it's going to be a lot. You know, the episode kind of starts off with, you know, going into the war room. They're rehashing all the stuff these guys have been given and going like that. Key things to focus on. They show pictures of Lucy's death scene where she's in a motel. She's been paid for 3 weeks, which is suspicious. Did y'all notice the photo? I think, Cash, you brought it up earlier.
We were talking about the photo is she's got the belt around her right arm, and she's right-handed. Now, I'm not saying a junkie isn't going to be ambidextrous.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well done. That's a tough one.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And obviously she could have done it with her left hand, but
most people, when they're holding a needle, want to be steady.
Yeah, you know, that's not something you want to mess up. You don't want to mess up your hit or anything.
Well, not only that, the picture looked very staged.
Yes.
That makes sense. Like the way
it was laying down the arm over the bed and everything.
And of course, the key thing of it's 3 weeks. It paid for in advance. You know what I mean? Like, I need you here for a while to make this look right. You know what I mean?
I don't want you to get checked in like immediately, people knocking on your door or anything.
And in the same time, Dan O'Brien is in Vegas too.
And that's the last time he's heard of.
That's the last time I see him before his body's found in Missouri.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, there's some...
It's
almost like...
It paints a picture.
Yes.
Almost like they went to Vegas to get them both, but Dan got away and they chased him into Missouri before they killed him in a way, you know?
Or realistically, you wouldn't want to find both their bodies in the same location.
True.
That right there would sing a red flag.
Yeah.
So you drive his body back close to wherever he was, drop him in a place he won't get found. Unfortunately, they drain the quarry. His bones get found.
Well, and as we found out last episode, there's a little bit of connection with Lucy. And just when she was talking to Amelia, that we find out later in this episode with the book, saying kids should laugh and everything.
Yeah, a lot of connections there.
And so, like, I mean, it feels like it could be staged because she could have been helping them in some shape, way, or form. And these people are trying to keep
obviously
quiet.
later on in the episode, which we find out about the note in the book and stuff like that. But it's even just in the front, it looks fishy.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
But it also you realize that Hayes is kind of on an island on this. Hayes is sitting there saying, this doesn't look right. This doesn't fit. You know what I mean? And so like that. But you see West is constantly having to drop him down because the other guys in the room can't know that they are
truly investigating it.
Truly going after something and not just trying to uphold the conviction of Woodard. Okay?
Correct.
Which is what, the boss people have
That's
said
what
they need
the
to
AG
do.
wants, yeah.
Yeah.
So Tom shows up suddenly, and Roland does his best to get him out of there. I thought it was a little suspicious, but I think y'all have a different thought on it.
Nah, I truly think he's just trying to keep him away from more sadness. And because he even tells him, he says, "Don't call Tom.
Yeah, don't give him this hope or anything.
Don't give him any hopes. Don't crush him anymore.
You don't want him to relapse, basically.
I think that's exactly because Roland is acting as his sponsor.
Correct.
It seems like so. It's like he's pushing him out. That's why he was super pissed. When he brings the mugshot out, or not the mugshot, but the picture of her at the store. And obviously Tom gets freaked out, but he was going to get freaked out anyway because he's called in for a press conference.
Correct. Now, in the last episode, they left us with a cliffhanger.
Yeah, because I came into the episode tense, ready for it to just the door exploding.
I'm expecting the first 10 seconds to boom. You know what I mean? We don't get that. Instead, we get an amazing lead-in of the first promos of the whole show showed Hayes staring at you in this vivid shot. Well, this is that shot, and it's him staring at the pictures of the scene. With Woodard. The attack at Woodard. And the cop's like, "Oh yeah, you were there, weren't you?" And then you just see us lead into that picture, and it was a cool visual. It was a cool shot.
Were y'all worried that we weren't going to get the actual explosion?
Yes,
I was worried that we weren't going to get the actual explosion. We were going to get the instant aftermath of the explosion,
just the noise and everything, and then
get the noise. See, West and and Hayes flinch and freak a little bit. But I was worried we weren't going to get the explosion. Boy, was I extremely excited that they put in
amazing,
extremely well done,
dude. The explosion itself,
and
a lot of times you want to be close up, but you being brought back and seeing the shrapnel hit everything and people.
What's insane? You can see the only reason I understand this is because I've literally witnessed a potato gun blow up in my face before. Okay, and you see we call it a sonic boom was what it looks like. It looks like a wave come off and then the explosion. And what was cool about the shrapnel is you see the wave as it's flying across and stuff. And I was like, man, that's just nails what it looks like. It was so awesome.
And then you just see the holes get put in time and everything. And I was like, this is one of the best explosions I've ever seen.
And not only that, did y'all notice that there wasn't a flame burst?
It
was just an explosion.
It's the same thing with the grenades. That a lot of the times they get wrong with grenades. It's not just some big fireball that comes out of them.
There's
not an accelerant in it.
Yeah,
pressure explosion.
Right.
It's like a pressure cooker. If you just leave the top on and everything, then boom.
Yeah. So I just love seeing when they're done right.
And this was definitely done right. And then just
to see the guy with his legs blown off and his body thrown over here. The people within 10 feet
things
are all
ripping
shredded.
through him. Yeah.
And you said, that's why I liked it. It was done from so far out because seeing the bodies made sense then.
Oh, it did. And then I'm gonna be honest with you. Like we talked about before the pod, the most shocking thing ever is when you see the cops come out. And they're just dropping folks like they're hot.
They're just dropping these rednecks they're the ones creating this war.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, holy shit.
Nobody was asking questions or anything. It was shoot first and hope you're alive.
Right. And a lot of times in action movies or shows or things like that, they only want you to focus on the action that's right in front of you. One of me and my brothers, most people's favorite movies is Braveheart. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
if you watch in the background of the massive battles out on the field, people are back there playing tiddlywinks.
Oh yeah,
Just
patty cake,
pattying the swords together. It
Hey
looks
Tom, how you doing?
ridiculous. Okay, but in this, they're focused on Hayes and West making their move towards the house, and you're just seeing people getting headshotted. And that cop that kills the rednecks, boom, gets blasted behind the tree.
Yep.
You know, it's like, wow, they didn't even want you to focus on that.
Yeah, they didn't make that a point of emphasis, but
No.
you couldn't miss it.
You can't miss it because it was so well. The cinematographer and everything, you know, they're lining up the shot and tracking it that whole way. I was like, dude, this is rad.
And they weren't fuzzying out or anything. Like you said, like
No.
it is clear picture, the blood splatter coming after it. And
Yeah.
like that was the cool thing is these people died instantly because of headshots. And
Yeah.
so
Well,
like they just
everything
dropped.
looked consistent. I mean, that's the thing. Everything looked like, wow, that looks real.
Well, the first guy, Hayes runs up on, he's, what's going on here? Boom! He gets blasted, and then we get to see the two ding ding
Yep.
in the door right in front of Hayes, which will come back a little bit later, obviously. But I was like, man, this is just
So
good
well done.
bullet holes.
Oh yeah,
You know, I don't know how they do this sometimes. You know, where it legitimately looks like that door gets shot
oh yeah,
with Hayes behind it.
yeah.
You know, but it's not, obviously. But man, I don't know how they necessarily make it look that good.
Well, he just, you know, if you listen to Pizzalto after the show, you know, he made a point of saying, you know, we wanted this to be fast and loose, and you know, and I didn't want it to be key to the whole point. I was like, I don't care how fast they made that. To me, it felt like an eternity of awesomeness. I mean, it was just really, really good. It was really quick. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was quick, but like I soaked up every little detail they did.
Because I mean it was only like 2 minutes.
But weren't you glad we didn't get the John Woo slow down,
Oh no,
slow mo into something? I'm like, no.
You have to understand.
Make this seem like we're there.
Imagine if you're there, you would be so panicky and running around to try to figure out what you're doing, how you're doing it, and so on. Yeah. Here's another detail for you. You know, Hayes and West ran around the side, right?
Yeah.
They just randomly shot into a glass, you know, as a way of covering themselves.
Just a tiny bit of cover fire.
Little details. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You got a 6-shooter revolver. You know what I mean? Every round's precious in my mind when you got something like that. You know, they just shoot one round into a glass or this, that, or so on. You know, to give themselves their own. That's little details. You know, whenever you watch other cop shows, you don't see somebody run around and do something like that. You see them just roll behind something and hide, and I need backup. And no, it wasn't nothing like that. You know?
And all of this mixed with rednecks taking headshots.
Oh,
Yes.
Just randomly as they're running around.
Turning a corner, everything, boom, boom, just dropped and everything. But then and just them shooting the cops. I was like, man, this is like a real shootout. No one really knows anything. It's just survive.
Right.
I mean, they run across the tripwire.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that looked good.
Blows these guys up, right? Mm-hmm. One of them shoots West in the leg. He goes down just right. You know what I mean? But notice that Hayes doesn't shoot them. He doesn't shoot on them like
No.
you'd think he would.
Yeah.
He was the only person not just shooting anybody at will. But, I mean, he's had combat experience
But once
in war
again,
and everything.
I'm pretty sure another redneck takes another headshot right there.
Oh, yeah.
While
They
they're
do.
standing there, and that's when Hayes moves to the front door.
Well, because Woodard was kind of protecting him in a weird way throughout this entire sequence. So I think he was making sure that nothing happened to
It definitely
Hayes.
is. We realize
Yeah.
that he's
Yeah.
making sure that he's the one that makes it in the house.
Because I think he knows that Hayes will be the only one competent
Well,
enough to do it and understand.
they know his history. You know.
And that's the thing too. I mean, he calls him Sarge.
Yeah.
I mean, we obviously understand the
There's a
brotherhood
respect
of the
level.
military and stuff like
Right,
that. Like
right.
he's like, you're the only one that understands
What I'm
going through. Like it has to be you.
Yeah, like you went through it there in Nam, and then when we came back, you're getting a lot of the same things that I'm dealing with.
Right.
We see a lot of these things where these people in the world today create these mass shootings or just atrocities, and it's like, and then they commit suicide by cop, but it's because they're more scared than anything. This guy had a plan.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They don't want to call them pussies for after they're mass shooting people and stuff like that, but it's like it is a ridiculous way that they decide to go out. You know what I mean? It's like if you want to kill yourself, kill yourself. Don't kill all these other people.
Right.
It's cowardless. Cowardice. So this guy though,
He was going after people that were attacking him and
right?
doing
But
a lot of
but
things.
also, if you look at it from Hayes' point of view, he thinks he's a coward too.
Yes.
Still,
Yeah.
because he's like, we see him later. He made me carry his fucking water.
Best line of the episode. Right
Yeah,
there.
I just like. I love all the little details in that, all the thought process you can put into that. You know what I mean? It's so cool. And it makes a lot of sense to the world that we live in today and stuff,
Oh, there ain't no doubt.
They bled a lot of the world into this episode, and they did it beautifully.
Oh, man. It's just like
Like
seamless.
all the lines
Just
and everything. Like
dragging everything in.
Pizzalto crushed it. Like, I mean, filming, writing, and everything. God, this was just such a great episode of TV.
It really was. It really was.
But then, like you said, he gives him the count of 3 and does it in his head. I really like that it was a silent count.
Well, he doesn't want anybody outside who's alive
To know.
to know. I feel like.
Okay.
He doesn't want anybody outside to realize that Hayes has an option here. That Hayes could shoot him in the knee.
Yeah.
Could drop him. You know what I mean?
Well, the guy said, he goes, "You do that, I'll kill you." You know.
Yeah, I know he says that, but it's like
It's different when you actually got to do it
Yeah.
and everything. And this actually gives. I see what you're saying.
this
too.
gives Hayes an out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All he's got to do is say, "I came in, I had a drawing on him, and he turned on me." He didn't have to even tell him the part where
Yeah.
he gave him a countdown. Hayes just tells him that anyway, because Hayes pissed off
Yeah.
that he made him do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if Hayes was any other cop worried about a bad shooting, you know what I'm saying? He would just say, "I came in, I saw him aimed at the window, he heard me, he turned on me with the rifle, and I put him down."
Yeah.
Instead, he decided to tell him what happened for real.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, I think that means something. Plus, it was just awesome to watch.
Yeah. I mean, it was fantastic. Their little dialogue going back and forth.
I mean, he even said, he goes, "I probably have been fine before I shot those cops."
Yeah.
You know,
I
he's
could have
like-
like wrote
and
off
Hayes
the
is telling him, he's
self-defense
like,
and everything.
"There's a lot of veteran affairs. They can help you." You know, he's like, "I don't want them to help me."
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I love it, man. This was so good, man.
It really was. It really was.
And props to the actor who plays Woodard, man.
Well,
He
I mean,
crushes it.
props to all these actors. I mean, they
Every
actually got
one
to
of them.
act and everything, but like
Yeah.
you said, Woodard really sold this entire scene and everything.
Yeah.
Just sitting there, the
Yeah,
marksmanship.
Let's be honest. Can you think of a single actor in this episode that was like, eh?
No, nobody.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Nobody.
Like, well, that's what I was talking to my wife and I was talking to people on social media. I was like, when you think about it, I mean, there wasn't one person I could say, that was a little off.
Yeah.
No, not a single one.
Like even was Lori, like she crushes every scene that she's in. Like they've been friends for 15 years, and the chemistry just oozes off the screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, they did.
Like,
good.
I don't get how they found a lot of these side actors.
Well, good job, man. Good job. But, it is what it is. I mean, all right. They bounce. I want to keep moving. They bounce into the press conference for Tom. The press conference gets taken away from the AG as he's talking by his former, I guess, deputy AG or whoever his right hand man used to be.
Yeah.
And this guy is he's the attorney representing the kids of Woodard, and which pisses the AG off. And of course, it leads to that scene Jake was just talking about, where Hayes is like, "Hey, do those kids know who I am?" And they're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Good to see you back in the force." Gives him the middle finger, and he goes, "That MF made me carry his water." Blah blah blah. Like he has, like he shows no remorse.
No.
For
Killing.
reason, Woodard.
No, but he shows remorse for the kids.
Right.
And he shows remorse for Tom. He's like,
Because they're still battling. And
well, he just thinks he's real sleazy to come in at the end of a press conference for a guy begging for his daughter to call
Right.
him.
You made this about you instead of this what it was meant for be.
Yeah,
And,
so it's like you love to see that Hayes good side,
Yeah.
but he also has that demon dark spot
yeah.
where he's like,
that we still haven't gotten to the heart of.
Well,
I mean,
he-
we might never in this show.
well, when he says, "Motherfucker made me carry his water," like I need more memories.
Yeah.
I mean, he
That's
already
heavy.
drags around his memories and stuff like that, and anything else wonky that him and West have done. So it's like this is a tortured soul.
Well, yeah.
You know?
And I
Yeah.
mean, you've got to see this every single night before you go to bed, and it's probably the first thing you see when you wake up.
All right, so let me ask this question: do you think it? Remember that scene I loved last episode where we had all the Vietnamese soldiers, the cop.
Yeah.
There was a girl with a headshot. Do we want to say that might have been Woodard? We just didn't think so.
I was going to say that the other night was when we weren't potting though. I was going to mention that. I was going to say I think it might have been Woodard because he was so tall, and it was long,
and the
straight
hair was covering half a face, but
Yeah.
you could see the hole.
Yeah,
And the way he was shot was behind the ear, coming out to his forehead.
yeah.
So
I'm thinking
that
it's Woodard.
could have been a first visual of Woodard. We just didn't pick it up.
Yeah, and now the other guy,
Is the cop that got killed by the tree, right?
or it's the guy they killed.
Killed. that we find out later in the episode.
He literally walks up, taps him, and says sorry. When that guy shows up, that ghost shows up. You know, I will say it did not look like
It
the
does
guy.
not look like him.
But we don't know yet that that's the guy they killed. We're talking about the guy who we think planted the evidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
The redheaded cop.
Well, if you remember, when they were in the war room, they said, this is one of the investigators on the scene, and then he disappeared after 90.
Mm-hmm.
This is the director tells him that.
He has the interview.
He says, do you remember this guy? Mm-hmm. And he looks at it right like that and says he doesn't remember. And she goes, well, it says you spoke to him in the 90 investigation or whatever like that, or the 80 investigation. And he's like, well, I don't remember a lot of people. A lot of people that I know are dead and gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That type of stuff.
Right.
Anyway, that guy who we see later on in a flash, talking about that looks like Will's backpack. You know, the kid's backpack.
Right. And they talk about how it was 3 days to process it, the scene.
Yeah.
And then it was on the second or third day that the bag was found.
And I mean, this bag is in pristine condition.
Correct.
After a shootout where a claymore just went off right over it. And it's just like, come on.
Yeah, it was there. And then, you know, so this right here is thrown in here to go, okay, what the shit's going on? You know, because they don't even answer the questions.
Well, two things happen in this episode. What West wants him to do, remember he's talking about it in the car, is like, we still have all those unknown prints on the toys. Hell, we didn't even have a database back in the 80s. Hayes finally does
Go back and look.
Go look for the prints. The prints are gone.
No logbooks back to 80.
And no logbooks more than 3 years, he says.
Yeah.
They definitely don't go back
just
that
says they
far.
go a couple years.
But he does say, go look for them anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe
we don't see a conclusion to that.
We don't necessarily see a conclusion yet, right?
Because
maybe they do find a name.
Because realistically, somebody could have got rid of these very recently once they found out the task force was going to be put back together.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, like, realistically, in the past 3 years,
Somebody
probably in the
might have
last
touched
couple
it.
months,
Yeah.
that could have been when these prints disappeared.
Right. So if that's the case, excellent. We have another connection, obviously. But the print's missing. This guy
Stuff's
of possible
planted.
planted evidence.
Mm-hmm. He's missing.
He's missing. This leans more and more towards conspiracy that we've been talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I mean, a lot of this is pointing towards the Hoyts, in my opinion.
I'm with you. I mean, like, there's just too many connections. Some things said at the very end of the episode make that connection. Who has the influence to do this? You know, but you could also say it could also be a situation where, you know, you have people running for political positions that we need this to be wrapped up and done. And to go ahead and say we have somebody, justice has been done, and you know, you have to imagine this made huge news when you hear cops and multiple people died, and then they find the evidence that this was the guy who took the kids. You're talking about that's a media bombshell that somebody could use that as a platform of we took care of business, and now you have the new AG. So I'm throwing that out there as another angle. Do I think that's what it is? No, I think it's the other way. I think Hoyt is involved. He uses his power and money and influence to help propel the AG to make sure the investigation goes the way it needs to go. And these are the byproducts of it. Right.
He's going to climb up so high and everything. But why are the kids opening this investigation back up? Is it just because maybe they're living a terrible life now?
No, I don't think so.
Because they clearly didn't like their dad.
If you could also look
No,
at this,
Mom didn't like Dad.
But
Mom took the kids away.
Okay.
right?
And I guess back in the 80s, it's a lot harder to try to keep
I can
in
imagine
contact.
though, you wouldn't want to say my daddy was Woodard, the guy who killed cops and men and children.
Okay, that's fair.
You know what
if
I mean?
you can get
So
them off, and
you want to clear that name.
Yeah.
Plus, their lawyer used to be the lawyer for the AG, and for all you know, that guy knows some shady shit was going down.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Is maybe he came to the kids and he really wants to open it up, and the kids are like, "Oh yeah, sure. I guess if you can get our dad."
He knows for sure. He can't say it, but he knows the corruption's there. And so if he stirs the pot, maybe it'll expose, thus making the AG look like shit. And these kids get to have the exoneration of their father.
And
there's a lot of good motivation there.
Yeah,
I'm definitely think it's more of the lawyer over.
based
the
on
kids.
some of the stuff, we should get to our accusations a little later. Let's
agree.
finish what
Okay.
we got so far.
All right, we bounce into. We get to meet old Freddie. All right, how good a job they did to make Freddie look old.
I mean, just the handlebar mustache alone, into the little slight goatee. I was like, excellent work. But
I want to know how old the actor is in real life. I wonder if they made him look younger, or they just really focused on making him look older.
They probably made him look younger, although they've done such amazing work with making somebody look older.
Yeah.
You make him but the thing is like when you think about casting all these high school dramas and stuff they do, the kids are always too old.
Yeah,
they look too old.
I mean, this kid looks like he could fit into Dazed and Confused, no problem.
Exactly. When they in the 80s,
Yeah.
they get him right, and it's like, well, make sure he doesn't have any facial hair and whatever. And there are teenagers.
Yeah,
I mean,
because he's a tall, lanky kid.
I had a beard in 9th grade, so you can look an age.
8th grade.
Yeah, we had a 7th grade.
8th grade. But I'm just saying, like, you can. It's probably easier to make somebody look younger than it is to make them look older. And he doesn't look like he has prosthetics on or anything like that.
No.
This looks like he just grew out a more adult mustache. And
Which, I mean, but shout out to the makeup crew.
They put him in like coveralls, didn't they? Wasn't he in like coveralls? Like he was working on changing the oil.
Yeah,
on
he was
something?
changing the oil and stuff, but I don't remember him.
It looked like he was working hard for,
Not much.
I feel like they kind of made him look like Tom.
Ooh, I can definitely see that and everything.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
the
make
same
him-
mustache and everything.
Yeah, make him look like a guy who's not having the best life. Got a wife and a couple kids.
Yeah, I mean, he says
Look
he's
at
not
it.
having the
I
best
mean,
life.
You just said it. I mean, think about what your quintessential auto repairman or manual labor guy who, this or so on of the 80s, 90s looks like.
Yeah.
Another thing is, too, is, you're in the South. We grew up in the South and so on. I mean, it's just like last episode, I made like a crack at Arkansas about, Walgreens and clean shelves. You said that in the same sentence, which is just a joke, by the way. And because we're from Mississippi, we have nowhere to talk. And
You've got plenty of room to talk. How dare you?
and,
Plenty of Delta room.
But, I mean, we grew up around here. Trust me, we knew what people looked like and what was popular in the 90s. And this guy has the look, okay? And if you're in the South, this is rocking.
Classic Grease Monkey.
Yeah. I mean, it's so
Wrench Turner,
You can call it what it wants, stereotype, whatever. But let me go ahead and tell you, I had a lot of friends back 90s, 95, this, there, so on, that I knew that their daddies looked just like this.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But I mean,
They usually have a cigarette just hanging off their lip.
just stuck there.
It's just stuck with this little saliva.
As you talk, it just waves in the air with every word.
The only thing we've been missing is there's no dip. No one's dipping in this show.
Dip became big in 2000 for our age kids, though.
Really?
Yeah, it was. I'd say even late 90s, 2000, where it was.
I mean, that makes sense because that's me and everything, and maybe that's why I associate it more.
The only people I knew back then, a lot of it was like it was chew. That crap in the bag that was.
Yeah, but
You had to work for your nicotine.
Dip
there.
became massive in the year 2000. Every redneck kid I played football with
had one while they were playing and
huge
everything.
dip. Pinch your plug, boy.
My folks were a 6-pack and a pack of Vantage menthols every night. So that was my 80s, 90s to 2000 life era of watching my folks hit them Vantages. Okay, and so when you see these people and all they're doing is drinking and smoking, that is
Right
on par.
on key.
That is on par, Jack.
I don't smoke unless I drink. That's what everybody says.
Yep, social smoker.
I'm a social drinker, social smoker, right?
Yep.
It's like, well, you drink all the time. Yeah, well, smoke all the time.
But I only smoke.
That's right.
When I drink.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. So, I'm just thinking about that stuff. All right, we leave Freddie. The only thing Freddie gives him is that he says the word they, which was completely changed. He said they.
Which, I mean, that shot me back to the old man, the black guy, and the white woman the white woman that he's driving back there.
we haven't revisited the whole dead eye, Scarface black guy yet. We hadn't.
I still don't think we've seen him. Yeah, because they tried to give us the red herring of the other guy in the last episode.
The question is, how did they become separated? Did all of them go to the park only to run away from Will at some point?
Mm-hmm.
To take her away, to try to leave Will behind? Because that's what it's looking like to me. Where did they take her? Did Will find them? And that's why Will dies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if they go back to their normal meeting spot, to get her toys or something, you know what I mean? And that's where Will intercepts him. And that's how he's trying to get his sister, and they knock him down, wherever he falls and crushes his head. We get the phone call, and we get the news that the last time she saw her brother, they laid him down to rest.
Yeah, so she was there.
Peacefully rest.
Yes.
She was there when he dies,
That was big.
but didn't know he was dead.
Right, which means that she was being told he's going to be okay. We just
Coddled. We just need to lay him down to rest for a while. He bumped his head.
Which makes sense why his hands are like that and everything.
Yep.
And, I mean, you were right on the head with it. Like, he was probably just trying to protect her. Accidental death.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it definitely leads you definitely towards that way. But they hit you with the they, and like you said, you talk about the phone call. You know, pretending to be my father was a big line in that call.
Yes.
And, I mean, I think that just goes back to Tom not being her dad.
Right, and this goes back to the whole thing in the beginning when they went to the bar. Was it Sawhorse?
Yep.
And the guys, basically we come to the conclusion of that she sleeps around, she bangs her bosses, and so on. And it goes back to that big theory of she's likely have slept with Mr. Hoyt, and Julie is possibly the product of that situation.
Could be.
And this is why she's saying, "You're not my daddy," and that this has been revealed to her.
And Lucy Purcell is not my name because
Her
different
name's
dad and everything.
actually Lucy Holt.
Yep.
Hoyt.
Hoyt. Sorry.
And so so that's one of the ongoing theory, which feels very strong, very good, and there's a lot of things going on in these episodes that really hone in on that being the way it is.
Could be.
Very possible. But the phone call was very revealing. Very, very revealing.
But don't you feel like the phone call, okay, so the hotline call, they call Tom in, you got to hear this.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't it seem like she's saying things in a way, and the way they're playing it is to implicate Tom?
Yeah.
I think to try to misdirect you in a way. The part like the guy acting like my dad, tell him leave me alone.
Well, here's the other thing too. Think about who was in the room when this was played. They were behind that glass, and guess who was back there? The AG, that head state trooper. Mm-hmm. You notice that head state trooper keeps getting these looks.
Some of the lieutenant, the bald guy, right?
Yeah. The bald guy, right?
Yeah.
And he's the new, stoolie boy for the AG versus the old lawyer. And so, there's been too many times where they're looking at each other, or he's in a place when something's happening, they're trying to make sure this is how it's going. This is where it's supposed to go. That's what that feels like with that guy's
he could be the guy
on
moving
scene.
All the evidence around and everything.
Right. Like when the press conference doesn't go the right way, what's the AG do? He turns and looks at him. We get a prominent shot of him like that. Like he's pissed at him that he didn't see this coming and didn't prevent it from happening. He's at there when they meet West in his office. He's there as you're here to make sure this shit goes the right way. Mm-hmm. He's at this interrogation box. He did this video to make sure everybody in that room sees it goes the right way.
The bald guy is the guy on the take now.
Oh yeah, he's the
one that's being promised things or something.
He can make the evidence disappear.
Right.
Right. He's the guy who can get into an evidence. Mm-hmm. See, to me, his character shows that the AG is dirty, and that this is the link to that. And why this attorney is representing these kids and this, that, or so on. Yeah. And so, again, it's the big conspiracy, but that was something I took from this episode very strongly.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he leads a lot of credence to what you were saying a little bit earlier, that the AG uses as a platform to get this position and everything, and now he's trying to do everything he can to hold on to this position.
Yeah.
And whatever the Hoyts... Or, in my opinion, whatever the Hoyts are doing, I think the
90s investigation is everybody on
covering
their toes, trying to cover their ass.
Cover your ass.
And one of the biggest things I took from this episode was how quick this 90s investigation was, because it's only 1 year. That we come to find out by the end of the episode,
and we don't even know if that's going to be.
Yeah, and we don't even know if it is a whole year. We just know it ends by 91.
They put it all on Woodard. We realize that.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those, wham bam things. It's
wham bam, thank you, man. Let's go.
Perfect. We have a guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's attached to the scene already. His name's already as a suspect.
Nobody's going to care because he just murdered cops. And
the whole town.
He's the bad guy, no matter what.
Because the town already hated him.
Already labeled him as the bad guy.
Yeah, so you pin it
it's
on
the
him.
easiest culmination wrap up done,
Yep.
used as a political platform, voila, wrapped in a nice bow.
And who was going to defend him because his family wasn't there or anything? He wasn't
Yeah.
liked in the town. Everyone thought he was creepy.
Dead.
Yeah.
Can't
money.
give you any,
No.
details of what he was doing.
So let's
you know.
go ahead, try to sweep this under the rug and
Yeah.
put a nice little pretty bow
Yeah,
on
there's no doubt there. All right, it does go into a section where they decide to interview people. We get this drifter kid.
Do we have
And
any idea how we got the Drifter Kid, or just
that was one thing I was fuzzy on the episode is that how did we get to this kid as a person?
No, he comes in because he sees the photo. They release the photo. Mm-hmm. Anybody know who this is?
That's
trying
right.
to get
And
some.
he
That's
comes in
right.
and
That's
says,
right.
"I know who this is." Her
Yeah,
name
it's
is
the princess.
Mary July.
Right.
Well, that's what she told me her name was.
And she's the princess of the pink rooms.
Well,
And-
she's never saw her do drugs, but you might think she was on drugs.
Yeah.
because she said a lot of crazy stuff. She kept calling herself, is it the secret or the pink princess or the secret princess?
I think the Pink Princess.
And then she's the princess of the pink rooms. That's like, okay, so we can kind of see how the kidnappers or whatever, and how they got it from Will,
Well, I think a lot
how
of
they
it,
calmed her down.
Yeah.
And I
I think
what's
a lot
the
of that-
syndrome they get you to
Oh, Stockholm Syndrome?
Stockholm, in a way, or like they convince her that she's special in some form or fashion.
Well, I think a lot of this is what she was probably 5 or 6 when she got kidnapped, I think.
I think she was 6 years old.
6 years old. And then, like, she's going out into the woods to play Dungeons and Dragons with her brother and everything. This very well could just be a character.
Well, she's playing dolls.
But
Yeah.
that game's going on,
Yeah, Will's playing the Dungeons and Dragons.
And she very well could have been playing that game, though, too.
True.
Well, she's playing something.
And I mean, because Dungeons and Dragons is just like a massive role playing game that you get really into. You dress up as characters
True.
and everything.
Yeah, that's true.
You have these long stories, and that she could just be living that out. And like that's why she has these names and stuff.
I thought he was 12 and she was 8.
Maybe. I don't remember.
Anyway,
I mean, it's still young enough to
because
where,
I have a 5-year-old and she didn't look like a 6-year-old.
Impressionable.
yes,
Right,
very,
very
what?
impressionable.
Especially if you're scared.
And like you have that traumatic event and everything.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, you go right into Stockholm Syndrome, people telling you that we're your real parents, things like that.
Yeah, we're going to take you to a
Right.
better place.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. All right. Is there a significance to the name Mary July? I mean, I know her name used to be Julie. You could say Julia, well, that's July, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, could be one of those, or it could just, like I said, just be the Dungeons and Dragons thing. Like, I don't know, but I don't think there's too much significance.
It's a very interesting name. It's not something you would think of somebody would just pop off the top of your head.
Yeah.
But it definitely sounds like a fake name.
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard anybody with the last name July.
No. I mean, the only months I know that people actually take is like August. Like, I mean, I know that's a name.
But the Drifter even says it. Most people on the road are
Yeah.
running from somebody. They all have fake names. Nobody tells anybody who they are.
Right.
And I mean, why would you? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, you want
I
to
think I don't think they even feel disrespected by you telling them a fake
no,
name.
they just want something that they can call you. They
Yeah.
just be like, okay, this is how we're family.
Right.
now.
But he says, they were like a little family, and she had separated from the family early on. Like she didn't last long in the bohemian, drifter lifestyle
Yeah.
or whatever. And she went off somewhere else. So obviously that wasn't the life for her, I guess, whatever the case may be.
The other thing is, too, is that they recognize her, but they recognize her as this is 1990, 10 years later. So wherever she left or whoever she left with, it didn't stick.
True.
That's one
No,
thing I
yeah.
got from that is that if she became a drifter and a runaway, this and so on, whoever took her or convinced her or whatever it was at a young age, something changed. Now, that's one thing I took from this is that, okay, she looks like a drifter in the picture. Somebody saw her and she looked and said she was, or so on. So that also throws in the whole what happened there.
Yeah. And do we think she was with the Bohemian family at the robbery of the Walgreens? And like that's why like these names are start give us a little bit more tips.
Zero to do with it.
I think she has nothing to do with the robbery. It is
Okay.
weird that she looks so suspicious walking down the aisle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But maybe she was hungry and she was shoplifting.
Yeah, I mean that's what I thought
You
she
know
was
what I'm
doing
saying?
with it and everything, and that's why I was wondering if she was with the Bohemian family, and they're actually going to be able to give us more information because of that.
See, I don't know. I mean, the guy says,
Hey,
he says write down the names of everybody
Yeah,
else.
and I mean he looks like he's writing a pretty decent list.
Yeah, maybe they have more info. Maybe not. Don't know. Maybe they were all kidnapped kids that were being
that could be a creepy ring to all get together
right.
with.
smuggled somewhere. I don't know.
I don't see the whole Bohemian thing being any more than what we got.
Okay.
Because like they said, we talked to 90 people.
Yeah,
they weren't really talking to us. I think that all that right there was just to show you she was not with whoever was her captor.
All right.
When she was a teenager.
When she was a teenager. So to me, that's a big deal. On that part, I think that's the whole message. Just like when we met with the Mr. Whitehead and the eye, we had all that dialogue and amazing this, that, and so on, just to represent. Hey, I worked the chicken line. Accidents happen there. So
just to keep Hoyt in the background.
Exactly, as a way of just kind of sticking you a little bit, reminding you.
Well, I mean, you think the first Hoyt thing we got was just a grocery bag.
A grocery bag.
I mean, we've had a lot of build up for this to. If it's not Hoyt, man, this is going to be a big red herring.
Yeah. So they decide to come to this nice brick house, and this is 90 where they get to meet Wes's girlfriend, who happens to be the girl from the church. Yep. A nice place, and he go, we got this place when he got his big promotion. And
I love that he brought flowers and just so awkwardly hands him the flowers and everything. He's like, heard you're supposed to bring flowers, and Wes is just like, cool.
He says, all right.
Thanks.
Yeah, right. Okay. I don't own a face, dude. And
but then, like you said, great callback to season 1 for what happened at the dinner for him.
Yeah, it's.
I like this because it's also kind of. Lori was obviously an avid Catholic churchgoer, right? When they met, he even says, "I need to go to church more." He was saying for sweet ass.
Yes. He wasn't going for the right reason to go to church,
But we find out that maybe Lori's the reason that Wes quit drinking and became like this sponsor or whatever.
For Tom.
Because remember, her timeline was on point. Look, 2 years, and then we had a 3-year gap.
Yeah.
5 years later, Tom has a sponsor and is religious and this, that, or so on. So, like, the timelines match about his personal life as well as Tom's,
Almost like she pulled him out of the gutter and now he's helping pull Tom out, and it's trying to keep that or like that. And when all that goes away, we obviously see West goes into a dark hole.
Yeah, he goes into a pretty depression hole, it looks like.
Even though, later on we find out he's not married, no kids like that, we don't know when him and his girl dissolved.
Well, do we think that that's what Hayes does to Wes? Is like he breaks up this marriage or something?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think what's going to end up being the problem is that West has ghosts too. We're talking about broken people.
Yeah. And
broken people most likely and most often can't hold relationships.
And think about it. What's the title of the episode?
Ghosts. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, so it's...
Well, it was just like, Wes doesn't have anything yet. And so, like, I'm trying to figure out
he killed somebody.
Yeah, but, like, we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I know, but
but we're trying to figure out when the girl dissolves. It's very likely that whenever this happens, 1991, when they kill this man, we talk about that... Well, Roland and Hayes don't talk for the next 24 years. You can associate that from whatever happened also destroyed his personal life.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the major things, and I think it's the looming thing we've talked about this episode, is the political stuff. West barks back at Hayes. He says, yeah, sometimes it is like that. It's political.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be sitting at that desk for the last 5 years if you'd known that.
That's very true.
He's showing you.
Yeah.
West is like, in a way, screaming it at you.
Yeah.
It's all politics. You play along to get along.
Yeah. It's
you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is like West has moved up, not because he was dirty,
but because he plays the game.
But he plays the game. Hayes never plays the game, so he can't move up, right? Mm-hmm. But the same thing is going to happen with the power players.
Not only that, remember the line where he says, hell, half your cases never even cleared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got finished.
Like, if you play the game, those clear.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, like, he knows the dirty shit and corruption is the way the police were working to handle their business.
Hayes was already working from a deficit being a black man. Mm-hmm. So it's like the racism alone was pulling him down. And then the fact that he wouldn't play the game and he just played a hard ass always, then they weren't going to give him any favors.
And he was willing to interrogate anybody, throw anyone under the bus and stuff. I mean, that goes with playing the game and everything.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like that comment he makes, West barking that at him.
Oh, yeah.
It's politics.
Yes.
If you just knew how, what to do, you would have made it. And I think that's the same thing. So I think what's going to happen at the end of the 90s investigation is that they're both going to have to swallow this real shit pill of putting Woodard behind bars or pinning it on Woodard.
Again. Like
Well, just making it that, because that's when it,
To me, I think he quits because they are told the case is over and whatever you've uncovered will not be.
That's what I'm saying.
Disclosed.
The fact
and we're going to proceed as normal. And I fucking quit.
Yeah, the fact that Will's death will probably still be pinned on Woodard, you know what I mean? Even though Julie's, because that's what they're trying to say. It's like, well, it doesn't change any of the facts.
Yeah,
we don't know what he did with Julie,
but we know that
but we know he killed Will.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing is we still have to understand something. They have yet to say anything in the old version, in the
Of
2000,
how this turned out.
of how it turned out. Not only that, or if they found Julie, what Julie has said or anything else.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, we're going to find Julie, and Julie will be the person who tells Amelia a bunch of different things, and then also unveils the story for you, and that won't be listened to, or she'll be shunned. Like she's a patient, or like we talked about Stockholm and stuff. I'm telling you now, they're going to make Julie out to be a bad guy in the situation, thus making Hayes quit, and the investigation goes down. That's the reason the director and all that has come back in to redo all this, like a Netflix special on catch a
Ted
murderer,
Bundy.
or Ted Bundy, or making a murderer, or whatever you want to say. Really, making a murderer.
Yeah.
A situation.
But there's, like I say, in the end here, we're going to find out that he kept things from West for Amelia's sake. There were things going on to protect a family.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say protect my family. He says to protect a family. And there were some things between me and Amelia. He points up to Amelia, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That,
I made a decision.
That he made a decision. I almost feel like we're going to find out that maybe Amelia does talk to Julie.
Well, I mean, we see it in the fast forward thing.
There was a preview where you see.
And we find out that Julie gives the goods on her like that. And in order to protect Julie
she changes
from
the
whatever
writing
the
in the book.
situation is going on, that Hayes makes a decision to swallow this shit pill and quit the force.
And for all he knows, he doesn't want to read the book because he knows it's a lie to help cover it for Julie so that she doesn't get exposed.
Right.
Well,
That's
I mean,
what I'm saying.
Doom. You know what I mean?
I
That could be
think-
Well, I
big.
mean, he wasn't reading the book the entire time, though. Like, I mean, this book was ready to be released before he has to swallow the shit pill.
But we
Because he's
find,
still on the
at
force.
the end, he's reading the book and he's like, I should have read this a long time ago.
Well, I mean, like, he should have read it when she was doing it.
Right.
Because, like, when they went to the dinner, she was going to give them a copy of the book. So, I mean, the book was done before he has to swallow it.
Right. And the thing is, and even with what I just said, it kind of falls down when the fact that he goes to West at the end and said, Lucy wrote that letter.
Yes.
Or Lucy put together that letter or whatever like
Correct.
that. So then it's like, why is he still investigating something if he already helped Julie?
Well, here's the other thing is
know?
that maybe he already knew that, but this is just showing you that his mind's gone and he's just realizing the same clue he's already known.
But I don't
No,
think
I-
so,
yeah.
because Pizzalto says, what you see on the screen is real. He says they're not unreliable narrators. What you see is real.
I get that.
Well, and
But
West didn't
that's
know
still
it.
not saying that's not real. He could just come back and say, you made that correlation earlier.
But
West
West
would have
didn't
told
say,
him.
yeah, West would have told him.
West would have said, well, yeah, we already knew that, buddy. He was like, why would she do that?
He just
Really?
was like, why does it matter at this point?
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that.
That detail at the end of 91 or whatever it is, or end of 90, is the one thing that it's missing that we don't know yet.
All right. There is one thing about this scene where he's reading that book and he says, he makes the correlation of, I actually should have read this earlier. Da, 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 da. All right. Well, first, let me ask you all this question. Are we going to get more in that book that's going to reveal more? Or is that just the one?
No, I mean, I
plot
think
line?
this book is still going to have a few little tidbits in there that is going to crack open the case.
I don't know if it's going to be the book itself or just moments they're going to start showing with Amelia that
Where
are going to
she's
reveal
interviewing
things.
people and
I'm with you on
everything.
that. All right. Black, 4-door,
Chevy,
police vehicle,
sedan.
Chevy, sedan, whatever this and so on. Second time they've shown it parked on the street outside of Hayes' house. Who, what, where, why?
Could be somebody from the AG just kind of tailing them and everything.
I think it's too far removed for that.
Those guys are dead. The AG is already much older than Hayes and them.
That's true.
And
In
the
90.
2015, he's 70-year-old Hayes. he's 70 years old.
Which means the AG is at minimum
90, yeah.
85 to 90. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
So I don't feel like it's a 90, 85-year-old AG like, make sure these motherfuckers don't figure me out.
Go to prison.
My legacy.
I really don't know yet.
Here's my theory. His son is a cop, maybe has some pull, and he has a cop detail at the house to make sure his dad doesn't leave and do something stupid.
Could it be someone from the Hoyts?
Hoyt's dead.
But the family still
From
is
the Hoyts. I think the son putting an unmarked car out there to make sure he doesn't hurt himself or anybody else is a good
Just
idea.
keep it out.
Yeah.
But remember, he's also pushing his dad. Are you investigating this again? You know what I mean? He's like pushing. He's like, don't do that.
Yeah.
So he's probably trying to keep an eye on him too. Like, don't be trying to track these cases and ruin my name. Get me in trouble for your shit. You know,
because he
what I mean?
did look up this stuff for him and everything, and he knows can't really use the resources like that. So,
right. Or it could be the director.
The director,
it could be making sure that their asset is staying
or
on
maybe
point,
the
or
director.
follow him.
That's the thing is follow him.
Yeah, you stir up enough memories. Maybe he goes and does something, and they're gonna follow him and catch the exclusive.
Yeah, and catch some kind of new knowledge that they don't have.
All I know is that they've shown you the modern cop car because the son drives a Dodge Charger or Challenger, whatever it is.
The Charger,
and it's got the blacked out windows and it's got the lamp on it. Well, this black sedan's also got that police lamp on it.
Did it have the lamp?
I swear I saw the police lamp.
I don't think it had a lamp. It did have blacked out windows. I don't think it had a lamp.
I didn't see a lamp.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I
Maybe
don't
thinking about that.
I don't think
Charger.
it had a lamp.
But anyway, it just it screams police car. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. It's an unmarked car. It looks like.
So my theory is the son's just either keeping tabs on him,
But-
or like you. But we also make the theory of that the son and director might have something cooking.
I wouldn't mind if it's Woody Harrelson behind that car.
Oh
And
my
'cause-
god!
Well, here's the thing.
Private detective car, private eye, unmarked like that. But they can have the tent,
Can
whatever.
you imagine
maybe.
And the director-
what would happen? People's heads would explode if suddenly episode 7, Woody Harrelson's an end of it. I'm here to help investigate a case, or did it? I'm like,
No. I don't think that's the case. I think the director would hire a private eye to watch him,
Well, and here's the
to
thing.
follow him.
I'm just saying, if Woody Harrelson's on screen,
I don't think I was joking.
Oh no, but I mean, he does ask her, like, do you have people looking into it? She was like, I have 2 investigators looking into it.
Yeah, she does have investigators.
Well, she does say 2 people. She says we have 2 investigators.
One question: what era was that in? Season 1.
It was in 2006 or 9. Like, I mean, they go in the same age range. Like, I mean, they wouldn't be too aged
the
up.
crime was of that year.
It was in the 90s. It was like 92, 93 was the crime.
Yeah, that's
Okay, so they're not too old then.
No, like, I mean, this
Okay.
is a very plausible
For some reason, I
timeline.
thought it was like the 70s or something.
No.
Well, you have to remember too. There was that scene. Remember, we found it where somebody showed us too. Is that there was a computer laptop up last episode where the director had popped up, and there was a picture on the laptop showing
Russ and
Cole catch
No.
a serial killer.
Rust Cole
Yeah,
is
Rust
one
Cole.
person.
Yeah,
That's
Marty.
McConaughey's
Yes.
character. The other guy, I can't remember what his
It's
name.
Marty.
Shit,
Well,
I-
okay, I was just saying Russ and Cole.
whatever. McConaughey
no.
and Harrelson are on the screen,
Right.
and their roles as the people who solved the Crooked Spiral case.
Correct. Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is in the same universe
This is in the same universe. Yes.
because I mean, we do see him pop up and everything.
Dude, you
And-
talk about heads just bursting into just utter oblivion if those two step out of the ride.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
at
telling
some
you,
point.
man.
Marty Hart.
You'll see confetti coming people's
Marty,
neck.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so like, I do think that there's a real possibility that they are going to show up during this season.
They're still executive producers, still get
Yeah.
their creds. I mean, it's possible.
I mean, there's a real chance
I'm
that
just saying. I think that would be too much.
I don't think so.
Do you think anybody would be mad?
I think they would steal the limelight from what these two have done.
I don't think there's any way you're going to steal the limelight from these 2 actors right
That's
now.
all
That
people would talk
last
about
scene-
is, can you believe they came in? And who was Stephen Dorff? What? Who? Who's Roland West? What?
But they signed these NDAs to protect the information, as far as like solving the mysteries and stuff. Sometimes it's to protect from cameos.
Yes.
I mean,
Because no one knew that this was really being filmed or anything.
who
Nothing
knew
got
in,
leaked.
in Deadpool 2 that Brad Pitt was all of a sudden going to show up?
No one.
Nobody.
Nobody.
I mean, they kept these things really well secretive. And it's just like, it wouldn't surprise me if they did it. Okay,
No.
it wouldn't just make my head explode because now the pieces actually line up a little bit.
I really think that we're going to see
If-
them later in the season.
I don't.
If the
I don't at
director,
all.
what I'm saying, if the director feels like the cases are connected, why not use or at least call those guys and say, "Hey, will you look into this?
Yeah.
You know, we may have had a girl that had been taken for purposes of this ring that y'all are uncovering." You know what I mean?
And I'm pretty sure McConaughey has said he's wanted to come back to the show before. So,
I hope I'm really pleased y'all guys live in this fantasy land. You know what I mean? I know what y'all do during the day now. I'm concerned
Hey.
for your lifestyles. You know, this fantasy
come episode
world.
7 or the season finale, and your head's exploded in confetti like
You
it's
know
the
what?
end of
You
the
can go ahead and
Kingsman.
get on the mic and say, "Yeah, Big told you so," if you want to,
Okay.
or whatever. You know, but I'm not counting on him. I'm going to do that right now.
Clearly.
Anyway, back to it.
Sleeping well, my sir. All right. There was some things about Amelia in this episode. You know, like she was pumping up for questions at the dinner table when they met Wes. She was asking a bunch of questions when she met, Hayes when Wes was shot. She was, there were several. They keep doing the whole thing. She's asking questions,
Yeah.
questions, opportune. There
I mean,
was
the tension
whole,
they have between them is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I mean,
But the thing is, like you just said, opportun. She comes off as incredibly like an opportunist.
yeah, very forward.
Well, I
Like-
mean, and Hayes even says it. He's just like, oh God, what did he say?
Oh yeah, his lines were,
because you had it written down in
You-
your notes, and
Yeah.
you leap off of everybody's.
You take
downtrodden
advantage
times.
of people.
Yes.
To build yourself up above
You lift
everyone else.
yourself up on other people's bad luck. You use yourself to. You use people to make yourself bigger.
Man, that is some hurtful stuff right there. But
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's how she's portrayed, and she does do that.
But you know what? I bet a lot of the guys that write true crime
They have to.
and stuff like that, I bet they all get that moniker.
yeah.
Like, you're famous and made money off of somebody's horrible bad luck. They're right.
Yeah, tragedy.
Yeah.
Off a tragic situation.
You saw money in a
I
tragedy.
mean, you see a lot of times where victims' families and stuff protest movies being made about the death of one of their family members. I mean, the new Tarantino movie coming out about the Manson murders and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of people that are super pissed that this is getting made. A lot of people are mad about the Bundy movie coming out and stuff. I mean, you can see why.
Yeah.
And
I
if
mean, there were
anybody,
real victims there.
if there is anybody under the moon that's not watching the Netflix Ted Bundy tapes and stuff like that,
That's stuff hard to watch. And then Ted
It's
Bundy's
hard to
just
watch.
getting more famous, and like people are coming to Bundy's defense and everything still. So I can see why people wouldn't want something like that made.
So a true crime writer, you can easily see, comes off looking guilty even if they're not involved in the crime.
Yes.
They just look like bad people sometimes.
And we've already, I've been hot on Amelia this entire time for writing this book. And
Yeah, I
stuff,
mean,
so
I'm still not against Amelia.
No, the thing is with Amelia, it's no matter what they put her on the screen, she can't help but coming off looking guilty in some form or fashion.
which great job by this actress.
Here's another thing. You could totally see in this show that every person we were dealing with somehow is involved in the conspiracy in some way. That's the thing. That's one thing this show does really well is that you can say this person's not innocent because you could put this in Nick's. This person could be in here because of this way. You know what I mean? Like, that's what the show does well. That's why there's sensory overload when it comes to all these clues and everything. Like, oh, it could be that one. Could be that one. Could be this one. So, totally understand all that. I think we just get to the nuts and bolts of the final scene, which was by far the most dynamic part of the episode. And the most telling on a lot of things, okay? Things we learned, is that they killed someone. Now, we have our ideas because the show said that this guy disappeared. Mm-hmm. He's the guy who goes, hey, that looks like the little boy's backpack, and da-da-da-da-da. And there is, in the previews in the past, you do see him at night beating the crap out of a white guy on a post at a barn.
Burning his clothes.
Burning
All
clothes. So I think we all agree that we think this investigator is the one who...
As of right now, 99% sure that this is the guy that gets the beat down death.
Yeah.
So we think it's him. He talks about how, like we talked about earlier, I spoke to Hoyt the day after they killed the man, and he knew what we did.
But it seems like he was in the dark on some things as well.
Which
points
so
my
we know
theories.
Hoyt, so that confirms Hoyt is involved and not in the safari and anything else. in which we said we've thought he was involved. So, boom, there's your first big landmark key is that Hoyt is involved if he knows they killed a man.
But
and he's dealing, like you said, his own dark issues.
I think like he said, though, he's in the dark on some stuff. I mean, that makes me think his wife is involved.
Correct.
Okay.
So we could theorize that Miss Hoyt knows that her husband maybe slept around with Lucy.
Yep.
Julie is the product of that. Mm-hmm. You could say the whole...
They have a daughter that's died, or a granddaughter, or whatever.
Died, and this is a new heir to the Hoyt industry. If it's uncovered, or he wants this daughter, or she wants this daughter, her motivations are not clear.
Yeah, the motivations.
But if he's in the dark on something, then that means, like we could be the wife with the hand of a black man who has either a missing eye or a bad scar, because they're driving a nice vehicle and visiting with him. So this leads more towards the original theory of Miss Hoyt is the mystery playgate and playing with person in the woods with the kids. Would y'all agree?
Yeah, I think so.
That's where I've been this time. So I'm sticking with my theory on it, but him being in the dark on some stuff can also be in the dark on some stuff from the other power players.
Yes.
Correct.
Like
AG and stuff like that.
He's facilitating the AG to make sure the investigation doesn't reveal him, but that they had their own motivations doing things that he wasn't aware that they were willing to do.
Hoyt and them could literally only be protecting their name from an illegitimate child.
And everything. Yeah.
Correct.
Because I have this feeling, because the fact that he talks about Hoyt came and talked to him, that makes me feel like that Hoyt had nothing to do with necessarily the kidnapping, but in order to protect their name, the wife may have done something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
here's another thing too: the Hoyts kidnapped the child, but were in the dark about how it was covered up, and an innocent man was led to be turned into a monster, and that their children are being, are trying to get all this cleared. And I was in the dark about that part of it. I just wanted my child, and I want to make sure that we were not ever uncovered for it. And so on. That could be that. And that because of that, that's why Hayes decides I made a decision and didn't tell anybody.
But see, I'm thinking that it comes from this. I'm thinking the Hoyts approach the investigators saying, I don't want it revealed that Julie is actually my child.
Right.
During this investigation. You know what I mean? And they start greasing palms in order to make sure that never comes out.
And then that never gets leaked, and everyone still thinks she is Julie Purcell.
And
because her coming out and saying that's not my name and everything.
Right. And if Hoyt finds out that his wife has been meeting with Will and Julie and playing with them and stuff like that, because it's actually their daughter, whatever the case may be, and he's super pissed about that. You know what I mean? Maybe that is what comes out of this. Not that he had anything to do with the kidnapping, but he had everything to do with trying to keep it secret, because he doesn't want to be a suspect. You know what I'm saying?
Time out. Let me ask you a question. This just popped in my mind. Literally just popped in my mind. Remember the scene? He goes, Briggs said we got a call on the hotline. Who is Briggs? Is Briggs the bald-headed state trooper guy?
I don't know for sure.
I mean, that could just be a throwaway.
Here's my reason I asked why.
And maybe the FBI agent.
Do you think that tape was doctored where she said what her real name was, but it was cut out of the tape? And the reason they were in that room is to make sure the tape was played the way it was supposed to be played.
I don't think so.
I'm just thinking about it. That's not my real name. My real name is... That was cut out of the tape.
Don't know.
I mean, I'm just thinking about it. I just kind of dived in my head a little bit.
We have fingerprints missing.
Yeah.
We have planted evidence. It's not beyond them, obviously, to doctor a tape.
Again, it goes back to they're in the room, and you could say, well, I want to see his reaction to this tape, but you could also say, I want to make sure the tape is played the way I'm intending for it to be played.
Could be.
You follow what I'm saying?
I mean, I get what you're saying and everything, and I mean, like Jake said, it's definitely possible. I just don't see that part being likely. I think that tape is.
I see them wanting to be there because they want to hear everything.
Yeah.
Okay,
and they just want to see the investigation and see if Tom is guilty because of that's not my dad. He's pretending it and everything.
I just had a little tickle in my neck that you could have a scene, episode 7 or 8, where there's 2 tapes. What do you mean there's 2 tapes? And then you play the original and then you say, I'm, my real
Julie
name
Hoyt.
is Julie Hoyt, or whatever, da 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 da. I don't know. It was just something that popped in my mind.
I mean, it's possible, but I just don't think it's likely.
Right. Other things that were conveyed, like you said, I made a personal choice. He was in dark places. Like I said, they killed a man. And then, of course, Wes says that, I don't have any friends. I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. I don't do any of that kind of stuff like that. And I'm still pissed at you. And it's been 24 years since we've spoke. And so that's the nuts and bolts of the conversation.
Yeah.
But
I mean, just the acting in this scene alone, the cinematography, just looking out at the trees and everything as it blacks out.
Special effects and their looks, man. I mean, come on.
Their looks, their tears, everything. It's awesome.
I mean, I was emotional during this scene, man. Like, I mean, it hits you. And then if you have anybody with Alzheimer, dementia and stuff, like seeing Hayes go off like that, that's real. Like, I mean, that stuff hits you just like that.
But then we get the best thing ever. We're going to get a Too Old for This Shit, Riggs and Murtaugh. Old timers.
We're going to get Lethal Weapon, just them walking around in diapers, jumping over hoods of cars. Can do all
my hip.
But watch out for the ice.
But what they've done is now created
70-year-olds.
Three eras now of investigating this crime. Now, they're going to show it. Each three.
Do we think they're really going to investigate this?
That's my next thing. Is do you think West is just entertaining this because he feels sorry for an old man?
No, I think he's really going to drag West in, and once something is unveiled, West is going to be just as in it as he is. Honestly, the way that Woodard dies in this thing, I have a feeling we're going to lose Hayes the same way. You know what I mean?
Oh, you think he's going to kind of go suicide by cop or something like that?
Well, or kill himself. When he finds out what happens. You know what I'm saying?
He just uncovered a memory that he should have been happy he forgot.
Or that they figure out the crime, and what if Amelia's involved or something like that, and it's like,
or what if he's involved?
Or what if
I don't think he cares at this point.
Or finds out what's happened to his daughter. You know what I mean?
That's a big thing that still has...
There's all kinds of stuff floating out there. You know what I mean? I just have a feeling that maybe both of them even, but I could easily see ending where it's friggin' Wes talking at his funeral. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And nobody's there barely.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, it could be very important that there's a reason. The girl is estranged. The wife has passed.
We don't know where the daughter is.
There could be some symbolism here, an issue of,
And if the son's involved in keeping him tracked, that's a total disrespect, or a violation of his privacy, you know what I mean, and what he stands for. He keeps telling himself, you know what to do if it gets too bad.
Yep. It's in the top right drawer by your...
It's in the nightstand,
Yeah.
They keep showing it. I mean, it's like...
He made a personal decision, and so whatever happened in his family situation affected the outcome of, his career, this case, and all that stuff's all tied in.
If he literally can't remember that his daughter passed away, he'll pull the trigger for that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If he literally can't remember that his daughter died, I could see him easily like, no way.
Like maybe she was with Amelia. Do we know how Amelia died? Have they said?
Did they say cancer or something like that?
For some reason, I keep thinking cancer.
Yeah, maybe they haven't shown it yet.
Okay, so it might not have anything to do with that, but
I don't know.
If Amelia is gone with the daughter still alive, it'll definitely blow his guts out.
Oh,
yeah. So, yeah, no way.
Whatever we heard or might think, it could be just cover too. You just know because every time you talk to him, he's like, "Hey, where is she?" And like, "No,
Because this wouldn't be unreliable narrator. It's just he doesn't know the information, and everyone's hiding it from him.
Exactly. So there's a lot of possibilities there.
Yeah.
All right. I say we just close it out with who's our top suspect.
Hoyt's wife, still for me. I mean, it's still Hoyt's.
Yeah, it's still the
followed closely, maybe followed by Amelia being involved.
I still think she's got something to do with it, and this book is like a massive redirect or something.
I think it is too. It could be part of the reason they're not together as well, is that when he finally does it, he realized that she helped in some capacity to get the child away. And the whole time she was just being an opportunist. It's thinner. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's thinner on me now, but it's still there.
No, I'm not going to throw her completely. I'm not going to throw Halloween decoration lady out either.
Dude, I was just going to say, I was like, where has she been? I was like, man, we were like, ah!
They showed her too much to just disappear all of a sudden.
Yeah.
We still haven't talked about the path they took on Halloween, who gave her the dolls, all that stuff.
I mean, we've got a lot to cover in 3 episodes.
Yeah. like the biggest question is that when did they get separated? And was the first episode where they showed the slow mo of the bikes going down the street and getting to see anybody and everybody that was around? Was that all just to make your mind say, well, they were never separated, and just not realizing something? I don't know. I think everything has a purpose, but I'm very, very curious to see where it goes.
I haven't figured out why those boys turned around in the bug and were casing that house.
Yeah.
True.
Because maybe that's the Hoyt's house. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I see their house being a little bit bigger and everything.
I'm with you, man.
I agree. Living off.
I'm on safari in Africa, and I live in this shit box. And
I 100% agree. But I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, it is Arkansas, so maybe that is the best thing. I'm kidding.
We're gonna get another negative review because you're making wisecracks.
This is what I'm talking about, though. Is like if it's the black guy with the scar on his face, his house or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
They just haven't explained why those kids turned around in that spot and stared at that house.
Because you don't do that for nothing.
Yeah, it's not for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, this show, it doesn't do anything for nothing. So like you say, but it's got to come back to it. There's got to be a reason for it. And if they don't come back to it, I'm just going to be really upset.
The guy, the pedophile they beat up in the barn, the only reason is to show that is to show what they're capable of later on.
Well, that, and we come back to that barn. So like this is...
That's what I'm saying. Is the fact like, oh, no, this is something they do.
Yeah.
They go full vigilante when it's something they want. They're not bound by the rules.
It was the 80s.
Which is what leads us to when they kill a guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all. It wasn't shown for no reason, even though it ended up not having to do necessarily with the plot, but it was there for a reason.
It was character development.
Yeah, it was to show you what they're capable of.
And
yeah.
Just great job by Pizzalto and everyone at HBO. Like... This episode was so freaking good, and like you don't get this on regular TV or anything. Yeah.
Well, they set the bar.
That's the thing. Next week better be solid.
Better be solid, guys. Before we wrap up, first I want to say, as always, y'all can always reach us on BleedTV Podcast at Gmail. We're also on Facebook. We're on Twitter. People were messaging us, blowing us up on social media. We love having conversations. We love all that stuff. Plus, a couple shout-outs. We had a ton of new reviews come in. Embassa, Darling Mia, Earlove, Sean Ryan, Meg's Account, VP43, KJ Quiz. All these people gave us a lot of great reviews on iTunes.
Thank you so much, man.
And I really appreciate it. I want to give y'all a quick shout-out.
Thank you, Kelly, again. Like it's always fun to text you and pick your brain a little bit.
We have an awesome TV host who's Emmy Award winning and everything else up there in New York, Kelly Choi, who's a part of it, helps us a lot with the stuff, and so shout out to her. Really appreciate all y'all guys. So I mean, we're happy to give y'all some props when y'all do something for us, and we appreciate it. So if y'all have another minute and you haven't done it, please give us another positive review on iTunes. It helps out so greatly. We have bounced into almost the top 50 on podcast. It's been fantastic. So we're hoping we keep the content good and enjoyable for you guys as we move forward. Also, don't forget, Walking Dead's coming up. We are going to have one for that. We have The Punisher out right now, and we just saw Into the Badlands. Looks like it's going to come back, so we're pretty pumped about it. And then, of course, if you're in the UK, Mayans is dropping. I think it's today, maybe today or tomorrow. And so you can catch up with us on all our pods with that. We'll have all that up, so make sure you tune that in as well. But other than that, guys, I think we're going to call it a day, and we look forward to next week. So this is Bleed TV, and I'm Zach.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Cash.
See y'all then.